Hey, Nadia here with Big O Bill, and it's time for another review. We're going to talk Marvel's Echo, the latest Marvel Disney Plus series. It's bringing gritty back with mature content. Echo serves as a spin-off to the 2021 Hawkeye series, bringing back Alaqua Cox alongside the beloved Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, who fans are excited to see return. The Echo series picks up 5 months after the events of Maya shooting Kingpin in the face as she returns home to Oklahoma. I highly recommend you watch the Hawkeye series first for continuity purposes and some context. It's streaming exclusively on Disney. The original story of Echo revisits Maya Lopez, whose ruthless behavior in New York City catches up with her in her hometown. She must face her past. She's going to reconnect with her Native American roots and embrace the meaning of family and community if she ever hopes to move forward. So the series is going to now utilize a binge style release with all 5 episodes streaming and dropping the same day. Echo's going to jumpstart the new banner Marvel Spotlight. The new banner will add some separation from the other MCU projects being released, with Marvel Spotlight set to tell more grounded and character driven stories, hopefully a little more on par like Netflix. So the series stars Alaqua Cox, Chaske Spencer, Tantu Cardinal, Devry Jacobs, Cody Lightning, Graham Greene, and Zane McLaren. So I've seen the first 3 episodes, and I will say that I found it pretty exciting with some fantastic fight sequences, a lot more violence, and an incredible performance from Alaqua Cox. I'll get to some critiques and like some minor issues in a moment. But first, I really want to say that I enjoyed the tone. I'm happy that Marvel is realizing that mature content has been missing, and that fans generally love the Netflix series and are excited for the return of Cox's Daredevil. The fight sequences were actually pretty well choreographed, and they bring back a much needed edgier, darker, and grittier, like grounded street level Marvel universe. So far, the series has a ton of heart and a focus on family and tradition. One of the most notable aspects of the series is Alaqua's performance. She absolutely gives it like her all, her effort. She shows that she's a fantastic actress. Alaqua is deaf herself, and she's mentioned working alongside Haley Steinfeld and Jeremy Renner, who learned ASL to communicate with her while filming Hawkeye. So she shows like immense strength and dedication and love for the character, who means a lot in terms of representation on so many levels. Another perfect casting comes from Maya's younger counterpart, actress played by Darnell Basaw, who's actually Alaqua's cousin, so the resemblance is uncanny. She plays the little Maya in both Echo and Hawkeye. And it's important to note that both are first-time actors and they deliver fantastic performances. According to Cox's social media, her little cousin is not deaf and had to learn ASL for her role in the series. She's very believable. I think both actresses did a fantastic job. And before I get in depth about the series, I want to briefly touch upon her backstory and her comic adaptation. So Hawkeye, the Echo series, takes some creative freedom with the character and backstory, but overall I feel like the heart of the character is still there. And before anyone talks about woke, Maya has been around for decades. She was created by David Mack and Joe Quesada in the late 90s and created to complement Daredevil. In the comics, Maya Lopez, aka Echo, she goes from Kingpin's pawn to later becoming a host of the Phoenix Force. She's a member of the Cheyenne Nation, and her father is killed in care of Fisk. In the comics, she dons the bloody handprint painted on her face to remember her father. So they changed things up a bit in Hawkeye. A number of things were, I would say, major in the sense that, like, Hawkeye was actually implemented in her killing her father, not Daredevil. In the Hawkeye series, she learns the truth from Clint about Fisk. But in the comics, Maya finds out the truth that Fisk gave the order for her father's death, but he made her believe that Daredevil was behind it. And she also has a romance with Matt in the comics. I wonder if they're going to touch upon that at all. What is consistent is that when discovering this information, she shoots and temporarily blinded Kingpin when she shoots him in the face, and of course, he miraculously survived. Which is where the 3rd episode reveals that he's now alive and well as he makes an appearance and confronts her. In the comics, Echo really has only one power, and it's not really a power like in the traditional sense. She possesses like photographic reflexes, kind of similar to Taskmaster. And the Marvel Comics Echo, she has the ability to like mimic fighting skills that she sees like in person, kind of like a recording in her head. And she was actually the first Ronin in the comics, and she helped the new Avengers. Comics Maya bonds with the new Phoenix, and she, bonds with the new Phoenix Force and her newfound powers, and she like now has telepathic powers. And I thought it was really disappointing how Hawkeye mishandled Ronin, especially in Clint's case, and relating back to Maya. They also mishandled Kazi, but that's a whole different topic. You can check out my old written review on GothamGeekGirl.com where I talk about all the problems I had with Hawkeye. Back to Maya. Similar to Daredevil, she uses her disability to her advantage. While she is deaf and she uses signing to communicate, she's an expert at reading lips and resourceful despite the challenges that she faces. What the Echo TV series does really well is how they portray sequences from her point of view. I actually love these scenes where everything is done in complete silence. So these moments are in her perspective, and they really show like how fearless and how resourceful she is. The show displays brilliant, gorgeous scenes of the first Choctaw with its opening scene, an enchanting mystical lore tied to indigenous roots. Maya is Choctaw, and the show really highlights like their culture and the history throughout the series as she's forced to confront her family, her legacy, and her heritage. So the filmmakers have actually talked about working closely with Choctaw Nation every step of the way for accurate on-screen portrayals. And it really shows that they took a lot of care and precision. There are actually videos on Marvel's website where you can see like a behind the scene like glimpse into the production. So I really like that they took a lot of care, especially like Maya's a descendant, and her grandmother actually traces their roots back to the original Choctaw warrior. So there's a fantastic scene of like this huge sports arena game in Indignates 1200 AD, and it shows a lot of cultural implications and customs, traditions, clothing. Well, I thought the scene was a little bit too long and dragged out. So was the Light Horseman. It was like a tribal police western scene, but they still add a lot of context to Maya's abilities and channeling her lineage. Like later on when she's on the train and gets her leg out, so we kind of see her embracing like these new powers. The first episode shows Maya's tragic past during her childhood, as someone cuts the brakes, killing her mother in the accident, and this is where Maya loses her leg and her father is forced to leave New York and forced to leave Oklahoma and gets a job in New York. And Maya has been training since her childhood, since losing her mother and being pulled away from her best friend and cousin Bonnie. And they had a really tight bond in her family. So now she takes a liking to martial arts and boxing, and it's also under Fisk, who's her uncle, kind of takes her under his wing, and she's very resourceful and absolutely fearless. Like I mentioned, Alakwa is natural. She's like a natural fighting demeanor, and she conveys Maya's anger so well. And you see her like building weapons and gadgets with like anything she can find. The fight scenes are really impressive and fun to watch, especially at the skate rink. Like she uses games like the guns to choke out her enemies during her fight with Zane's crew of henchmen. While it's not as intense, bloody, or innovative as Daredevil, Echo still delivers on the grittiness. It's far more grounded than Disney Plus and more like the tone of the Netflix series, with a character-driven story with a focus on Echo and her family heritage, and it really has a great sense of Native American culture. Fans of the comics are going to notice her symbol on her leather and her new leg piece that her grandfather made. Getting on to the things that I kind of had a problem with, a few minor things I found annoying. Like in the first episode, she returns to her childhood home after 20 years, and it was exactly the same. A little weird, but however, I like that they mentioned this later on why the house was left untouched. Her grandmother has been keeping watch. Her cousin Biscuits is ridiculous and such a one-dimensional trope of a character. While lovable, Biscuits is like a ripoff of Jack Black, and he's exhaustingly annoying. He tries way too hard to be funny, and this is one of my main issues with Disney, is that they try too hard to be funny. They have to include like unnecessary and forced comedic relief. Another gripe about Disney is that Marvel is too scared to show graphic things now, even though this is supposed to be mature. Similar how today lied to us about Moon Knight. Instead of being violent like the Punisher, it was like Barney. And most things occurred off camera, like they're scared to show blood. If you market it as gritty and mature, please go all out like Netflix. Stop holding back. My main gripe so far is that we already know the 6-episode format does not work. So, this being 5 is way more concerning with only 2 episodes left. I'm pretty worried. Not much has progressed narratively. We already knew that Fisk was alive. Uh, and then Daredevil will he make another appearance, or was that just fan baiting? There were definitely some storytelling and pacing issues, which is synonymous with Disney Plus. However, Echo leaves me excited for more mature content to come. You can stream all 5 episodes next Tuesday, January 9th on Disney Plus, and make sure to let us know your thoughts.